Okay, so maybe this is the year that you're finally going to change your wedges. For me, wedges are some of the most important golf clubs in your bag. Guys, do us a favour, before we get into today's video where we're going to help you with a little bit of a buying guide on so what wedges you should buy moving forward, how much should you spend, should you buy new, should you buy used, what loft should you go for, what grind should you go for, what bounce should you go for. The possibilities are endless, but get in the comments below and let us know what wedges are you using and how many do you have in your bag. I think it's a really interesting conversation to have. So many people spend a long time talking about driver loft, driver shaft, driver head size, driver grip, driver head cover, and guess what? Driver doesn't always lower your scores as well as maybe a nice new fresh set of wedges could do. So the reason why I've got my pitching wedge here and my lob wedge is so that you can see what loft is your pitching wedge. I know that my Takomo pitching wedge is 47 degrees of loft, and moving forward from there, that would be my first wedge moving forward. So do I want a 50? Do I want a 52? If my 47 degree pitching wedge goes 135 yards, which it does, I then want a club that will go around 120 to 125 degrees of loft, or yards should I say. So moving forward, I know that a 50 degree will go 120 to 125 yards. A 52 degree wouldn't do that. It'd go more kind of 115 to 120, so it would leave too big a gap. But if you have more game improvement irons, irons with stronger lofts, maybe big cavity back irons, your pitching wedge might be 45, 44 degrees. Then you're thinking, right, I actually need maybe something a little bit stronger as well, just to bridge that gap. That's the first port of call which I see so many golfers get wrong. Yes, chipping is very important, and around the green here you can see we've got quite a lengthy chip, and we could use lots of different wedges to get close to this flag. So the pitching wedge, initially I could play a nice little bump and run there, land it halfway there, let that release out to a couple of feet. That's one of the ways you could play this shot. I could then go 50, 56, 58, or I have a 60 degree here and I could go a little bit more aerial and try landing that a lot closer to the flag. They're two pretty good shots. They're both side by side. I'd be fairly happy with most of those. I'd probably try and take my time a little bit more, but it's not that important what you're using around the greens with your set of wedges. I'm a massive believer that you want to find one wedge in your arsenal and become very, very good with it. I've done that with this Mizuno 60 degree. I really enjoy just how versatile this is. And you'll notice so far, we're a couple of minutes into this wedge buying guide video. I haven't mentioned Vokey ones, I haven't mentioned TaylorMade ones, I haven't mentioned rusty faces, I haven't mentioned different grooves, because for me, loft is the ultimate important factor. So as soon as you start to look at what loft you're using and how you return that loft dynamically to the ball, that's when you can start to assess what wedge makeup you want. The next thing I want to talk about is branding. So many people will go, right, well, I know that I've got Takomo irons, therefore I have to have Takomo wedges. That's not necessarily the case. In fact, that's never the case. Just because you see your idols on TV playing all TaylorMade bags, so TaylorMade driver, TaylorMade irons, TaylorMade wedges, doesn't mean you have to match your setup as well. In fact, most golfers who aren't contracted don't match them up, and even some who are contracted don't match them up as well. You find the best wedges for you, they don't even have to be the same within the wedge family. So my full bag, I have a Mizuno 60 degree and a TaylorMade 56 degree. Why is that? Because for me, the 60 degree of the Mizuno does everything I want it to do. It's got a cavity back here, so it's really, really versatile. It is the C grind and it has 10 degrees of bounce on there. So I feel like with this wedge, you saw me play a nice mid-flighted shot there, but because the CG is quite high up on the face, I could still play a real nice low punt there with this 60 degree spin up and hit the flag there. I could almost play a shot as good, opening the face up and playing a real high one. You'll see that one is, come on then, back off the tree. You can see that one is a much more percentage shot. To be honest, I just didn't want to take a big slug out of John's beautiful turf. But I can play lots of different shots with this one wedge, and it's really important to me that I know I can do that. I don't need to have a matching Mizuno 56 degree, because with the 56 degree, I'm playing more full shots. I'm playing 60 yard, 80 yard, 90 yard shots, and the shape on the TaylorMade for me is a lot better and gives me a lot more confidence than the Mizuno. So you can see that I'm picking wedges for certain shots I know I want in my bag, and that for me really allows to have a nice versatile wedge setup and start playing a lot better golf and hopefully lowering your scores.
Right guys, let's talk about grinds now. For me, a grind is one of the biggest misconceptions or one of the biggest misleading things on a wedge. There's a lot of options from some brands, and what they start to do is confuse you of what you need. And basically the grind on the bottom of the club is going to be how this is shaped towards the back. So have we got a little bit of a flat, then a little bit of a camber was the word I was looking for. James there to rescue the day. So has it got some camber? What's it going to do, and how is it going to interact with the turf? But you'll see on screen there's some manufacturers do have, I would say, maybe too many options. We want to think about what kind of golf course you are playing, what kind of turf are you playing off. You might have a different grind depending if you're playing on links golf and then if you're playing parkland golf. Different grasses, different surroundings and different interactions with the ground, and that's where you might want to think about it. But really what it comes down to, and a lot of the grinds to obviously narrow it down, is right, do you open the club up? Do you keep it square? How do you play your chip shots? If you open your club, you might need a little bit of a different grind, something with heel relief to help you be able to get those shots going up in the air and being able to play nice little flop shots just like that one there. But obviously if you're then playing off, let's say, some links turf where it's nice and firm, we're not always going to be able to get that. That's then when we have to think about bounce and grind. We might then need something with less bounce, and we might need to play it a little bit squarer to be able to get that same shot. And even from there, I can still get a similar kind of flight. Ooh. It's just going to come out that a little bit lower, so I'm just going to have to think about my swing length. So start to think about it. When you're going for wedges and you're looking at wedges, what bounce do I need? I like to think about, right, if you're going for a mid bounce, so go for something that's either around about 10 to 12 on your 60, 58, 56. Then from the 54, you could go a little bit more, so you might go up to 12, but again, keep it nice and consistent, stay around about 10, and that's going to give you the ability to play different shots. Again, here, I can get this one back in my stance, play it nice and low, a little bit of check on there. I can go middle of my stance, I can get a mid-flight, but all I'm doing there is changing my ball position. I've got a nice bounce on there, I've got a neutral grind on there that just allows me to play all the shots. I'm not trying to have to manipulate anything. I've played all those 3 shots with a square face, and if we can do that and make it a little bit less complicated, then we're going to be able to start to chip it nice and close next season, start to help you get good at golf, hopefully lower your scores by buying the right wedges. They don't always have to be new, they could be second hand, but just think about it guys, you want something that is good for your golf course. You're going to have a nice consistent bounce throughout the wedges, you're going to have a grind that allows you to play the shots exactly how you want. So think about it, do you play your shots with a square face, do you play them with an open face, and that's going to help you make a decision and get good at golf.
The reason why I've got my